Welcome back to the Cossy channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. We've got some very good news from David and Stein regarding Arsenal transfers this week. Arsenal are making moves. They're very active, and we expect it to be very active this week as Andre Bata and Mikel Arteta have decided on their targets. It's now time to go and sign our players, and all that could actually start this week. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. There is an update, a very good update on Zubimendi. There's a very good update on Kepa. There's a very good update on the striker situation, and a very good update on the wingers as well. So we're going to be discussing all that. Do me a favor, sit down, get your popcorn, and let's get into it. So David Stein has just confirmed that Arsenal is one of the clubs expected to be active this week, with moves being made for a centre forward and a winger. Arsenal will be making moves for a centre forward and a winger this week. Sesko, Gyökeres, and Watkins are some of the players we're looking at centre forward, and obviously Nico Williams, Anthony Gordon, and Rodrydo goes are the players we're looking at when it comes to the winger situation. So this week, Arsenal finally started making their moves for their preferred choices after discussing and deliberating on a couple of options out there. Let's start off with the striker situation. Now, last week, which obviously I wasn't reporting, but I was following everything, Florian Plettenberg and Fabrizio Romano confirmed that there were advanced negotiations between Arsenal and RB Leipzig for the signing of Benjamin Sesko. And I think last week we got to know who Arsenal's real preferred choice is for centre forward. It's not Victor Gyökeres, it's not Victor Osimhen, it is not Oli Watkins, it is Benjamin Sesko. And yes, we had a lot of disagreements, but after deliberating, after understanding why Arsenal have done this deal, I think a couple of Arsenal fans are now are on the same page with the club. Yes, he's just young, he scored 13 goals last season, but could it be better? Yes. Can it be improved? Yes. Can a deal be done? Yes. Does it tick a lot of the boxes that Arsenal are looking at? Yes, he actually does. So it's Benjamin Sesko. Guys, it is Benjamin Sesko. And this week, according to Florian Plettenberg, Arsenal could even make a bid. RB Leipzig are expecting Arsenal to make a bid for Benjamin Sesko this week. So the negotiations last week were centered around understanding the overall package that RB Leipzig would be willing to accept, and understanding the overall package that Arsenal would be willing to part with. And what we understood last week was that Arsenal want to buy Benjamin Sesko for 70 million euros. That is where they are. That's where we are. We want to buy Benjamin Sesko for 70 million euros. That is about 64 million pounds. I think it's around there, right? Arsenal don't want to exceed 80 million euros. On the other hand, RB Leipzig are saying there is a world where they see Arsenal pay more than 80 million euros for Benjamin Sesko. They want the overall package. They want to sell him at more than 80 million euros, maybe 85, maybe 82, maybe 89. We don't know at the moment, but they want a fee and they want a total package that is above 80 million euros. So I would presume that last week is when we got to know how much Arsenal have to pay in terms of fixed fees, how much Arsenal have to pay in terms of the initial deposit, initial installments, and all that. But at least one thing is for sure, Benjamin Sesko is the #1 priority that has been agreed upon by Mikel Arteta and Andre Bata, and the whole Arsenal hierarchy have given their blessing for us to sign Benjamin Sesko. That is #1. #2, the other thing that we know, Arsenal are not going to trigger the release clause of the player, which is about 80, 82, 83 million euros. Arsenal are not going to trigger that release clause. We are going to negotiate with RB Leipzig, and in the end, we shall pay the money in installments. But there is a catch. If we are not going to trigger the release clause of the player, then RB Leipzig is saying, it's okay, you can negotiate with us, but we want a total package. We want a total transfer package of up to 85 to 90 million euros. So what could happen this week with the Benjamin Sesko deal? Well, David Stein says that Arsenal are making moves, right, for the centre forward situation. Of course, when he says that Arsenal are making moves, this means that we should be seeing something different, something more advanced on this deal than we have already seen on the other deals, right? Number one, Arsenal should be able to make a bid this week, honestly. I mean, if you're making moves, you have had exploratory talks, you have had preliminary talks, we should be able to see a bid that actually resembles what RB Leipzig want or resembles what Arsenal want. Whichever kind of bid that will be made this week, I presume it will be rejected straight away. I won't be surprised to see Arsenal make a £50 million bid. I would be surprised to see Arsenal make a £45 million bid just to test the waters. But we should be able to see a bit of advancement, a bit of movement from Arsenal in that deal. Overall, I cannot lie to you. I don't think this deal is gonna be easy, especially with Arsenal valuing the player below 80 million euros and RB Leipzig valuing the player above 80 million euros. But one thing is for sure, and it is certain: Leipzig want to sell. Arsenal are one of the clubs interested, and we've got the money. So I think we can do the deal. Just to let you know, on the Benjamin Sesko deal, Al Hilal and a couple of other Saudi Arabian clubs, I presume, have made him one of the targets for this summer. Bloody hell, these clubs never rest. Why do they want to take a 22-year-old striker that has not even made a name for himself? I thought they want to take players that have made names for themselves to attract TV. And it's being reported by Fabrizio. That means it's serious. But Fabrizio says that the player is not interested in going to Saudi Arabia at the moment, so we can breathe. But according to David Stein, Arsenal have other targets. And he says it is Gyökeres and Watkins. Gyökeres is a primary option. Watkins is a secondary option. Let me explain. So Sesko is Arsenal's main target right now. It's no longer Isak, it's Benjamin Sesko. Gyökeres would be the primary option, meaning that should anything happen with the Benjamin Sesko deal, it's automatic. Arsenal will go in and sign Victor Gyökeres. The price is right, and Roberto likes him, and the player would love to move to the Premier League, especially with a club that has UEFA Champions League football. Okay, so he is the primary option. I don't expect anything to advance between Arsenal and Gyökeres this week, unless otherwise. But I expect Arsenal to do more work on the Benjamin Sesko deal, and that will help us understand: are we really gonna get Benjamin Sesko, or should we focus refocus our attention on Victor Gyökeres? Oli Watkins, I kind of feel like Oli Watkins would be the last minute buy. You know, you have Sesko, Gyökeres, and you fail to get either, and then you go for Watkins. Because it's possible, maybe Leipzig get a good offer from any other club, and they're no longer interested in Arsenal's money. That's number one. If that happens, and then Gyökeres goes to Manchester United, because United are very, very serious about him, and then he goes to Manchester United, what are you left with? What you're left with as Arsenal is your third option, which is Oli Watkins. Okay, but let's not dwell onto that. Let's get into some interesting stuff. Arsenal are expected to make moves, right, for a winger as well. And Williams, Anthony Gordon, and Rodrygo are the three in line. Now, this is the order of wingers that I think Arsenal have at the moment. According to Sky Sports, Rodrygo has moved into a priority position at Arsenal regarding the winger situation. Nico Williams, definitely second, and Anthony Gordon third. And I'll tell you, I would absolutely take all of them. I would take all of them. But with Arsenal focusing on Benjamin Sesko, in my opinion, it would be a very good buy and decision for Arsenal to go in for Rodrygo. It would be a much better decision. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying Arsenal should sign Rodrygo because we're signing Sesko, right? I'm saying because we are signing a striker that's gonna need patience, that has a lot to learn, that is going to require some time. Let's go for a proven winger. Let's go for a win now winger. I think there was an article that was done by James McNicholas, and I will cover the story. Don't worry, on the channel. And he was talking about Arsenal's win now mentality versus the building mentality, and was asking, how do Arsenal really combine the two this summer? This is a win now window. Arsenal have to send players that allow us to win now. But then you have market opportunities in Greece. You have market opportunities like Benjamin Sesko that will help and impact the team later on. I'll give you an example. Gabriel Magalhaes was signed about 4 years ago. One of the best centre-backs in the world right now. Saliba was signed about 5 years ago. One of the best centre-backs in the world right now. Because you want to win now, you simply can't stop thinking about the process. Arsenal have to think beyond 2025, and we have to think beyond 2027. And that is why I'm saying, if Benjamin Sesko is being looked at as one of the best striker prospects, let's go and get him. But in order for us to compensate for that, sign a winger that is going to compensate for his numbers. Rodrygo can do that. Brian Mbeumo could do that. Anthony Gordon could do that. So the priority is Rodrygo. This is what we know about Rodrygo, and I'm going to tell you that this deal is not going to be agreed this week, okay? Rodrygo, as a player, is still undecided, right, on whether he wants to stay with Xabi Alonso or he wants to move on. And it's pretty much understandable why. Because if I am Rodrygo, I want to listen to my manager. I want to hear it from my manager. Am I going to play? Am I not going to play? If that decision is made, if Xabi Alonso tells Rodrygo, you're going to play, but on the right wing. You're not going to play on the left wing. Maybe Kylian Mbappe is going to be my left winger. If Rodrygo decides to leave because of that decision, then we have to ask ourselves a question. Does he really want to come to Arsenal? Does he really want to play in the Premier League? After that, we've got to ask the question, how much is it going to cost? Is it doable? Is he available? Yes, but is it doable? And all that is not going to be decided in 1 week, especially in a week where Arsenal are trying to do the centre-forward deal, especially in a week where Arsenal is trying to stress with Kepa and Martin Zubimendi. If it was Nico Williams, Fabrizio said that Arsenal are willing to spend money actually on the Nico Williams deal, but Nico Williams has not shown any intention of the player wanting to leave. I mean, he's still comfortable with Atletico Bilbao, and there is a big possibility he might actually stay there. Anthony Gordon, for me, feels like a third option to Rodrygo and Nico Williams. So it's not a deal that Arsenal will do early, but also still Newcastle are not willing to sell that easily. But let's wait and see what will be done this week. On the Martin Zubimendi deal, I highly doubt a medical will be done this week, but it is possible. But David Ornstein has given us a very good update on this one, and James McNicholas as well. Arsenal consider this deal done and signed, right? Arsenal consider this deal done and signed. The Martin Zubimendi deal, okay? With Kepa Arrizabalaga, if Arsenal are really in a rush, this is one deal we could do. I mean, Kepa could be announced earlier than Sesko, and it could be announced earlier than Martin Zubimendi, right? He could be announced earlier than Sesko earlier than Martin Zubimendi. But of course, if anything breaks, I'll be the first guy to let you know.